I'm Dustin Harder, and this is Keep On Cooking. Hello and welcome to Keep On Cooking, the only podcast dedicated to plant-based cookbooks. I'm your host, Dustin Harder, and we are getting into compassionate vibes here today with an interview with Colleen Patrick-Goudreau about her latest release, A Year of Compassion, 52 Weeks of Living Zero Waste, Plant-Based, and Cruelty-Free. Affectionately known as the Joyful Vegan, Colleen Patrick-Goudreau has been a leading voice in compassionate living for over 2 decades, guiding countless people to achieve lasting health and purpose. Now, with this book, A Year of Compassion, she shares simple, effective, and impactful actions we can all take to make humankind a little kinder by protecting animals, supporting the planet, and optimizing our own health. Colleen lives by the motto, and I love this motto, everybody: don't do nothing because you can't do everything. Do something, anything. She knows we'll never be perfect in this imperfect world, but with small incremental changes, we can each contribute to big change. One week, you might declutter your fridge to cut down on food waste, while the next week, you could store some basic supplies in your car to help an injured animal. Another week, you might explore eating by color to boost your nutrient intake, while the next week, you can take steps to stop junk mail in its tracks. A recognized expert and thought leader on the culinary, social, ethical, and practical aspects of living compassionately, healthfully, and sustainably, she is an award-winning author of 8 books, including the best-selling The Joy of Vegan Baking, the 30-Day Vegan Challenge, The Joyful Vegan, and of course, this newest book, A Year of Compassion. Colleen is also an acclaimed speaker, a regular contributor to National Public Radio, and the host of all-inclusive luxury, sustainable, vegan, and animal-friendly trips around the world. She is host-producer of Food for Thought podcast, one of the longest-running podcasts. Colleen also co-founded the Political Action Committee East Bay Animal to work with government officials on animal issues in the San Francisco Bay Area. And today, we have her to chat through this very approachable, practical guide to living life with just a little more compassion. Here she is to tell us all about it. It's Colleen Patrick-Goudreau. Affectionately known as the Joyful Vegan, she has been a leading voice in compassionate living for over 2 decades. Please welcome back to the Keep On Cooking podcast, Colleen Patrick-Goudreau. How are you?
Yay, so good to be here. I'm great. I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. We're going to dive into your icebreaker question like we do here. What is your go-to comfort show, movie, or book?
Can I pick all 3?
I feel like if I know you at all yet, I feel like there's a book probably top of your mind, but I am curious. You can do all 3 if you want. Tell us what's coming to mind.
Okay, well, movie is very easy for me. It's Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Yeah.
Comfort spot, Lord of the Rings. Love
it is. I will just turn it on, any of them, Fellowship, and it depends on my mood. Put it on and just I'll do email or something. It is just my happy place having that in the background.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to do, so book, I would say, book is probably Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Okay. Yeah. Writing that down.
Yes. And then my TV show, I don't watch it very often, but if I were to be sad and I would need comfort from a TV show, it would be Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that. Oh, so good.
Or Breaking Bad. It really just depends. It really
Sure. 2 different worlds there. Wow. The most wholesome and really the depths, really just going both worlds there. I love that. My movie is Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. Any heavy driven female lead movie, comedy, sort of stupid comedy I'm here for, but Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. And I'll do all 3 too. Why not? TV show lately, Parks and Rec. We've gone back to that. I've been watching that. One day maybe you'll check it out. But and then for a book, Tales of the City, there's a whole series of them. So I get into that book, and it's great fictional read, and I just love it so much. So those are good ones. Listeners, I hope you picked one up that maybe you like, or tap into our Instagram and let me know what your comfort movie, book or TV show is. We'd love to know. And you may remember, listeners, Colleen was previously on the podcast to talk about one of her fabulous books, The 30-Day Vegan Challenge. You can check that out. It's episode 120. We also get a deep dive into Colleen's history leading up to where she is now in that episode. So give it a listen. And today we are here to talk about her newest release, my dear friends, A Year of Compassion, 52 Weeks of Living Zero Waste, Plant-Based, and Cruelty-Free. It just came out in March. Now, for years, you've been guiding countless people to achieve lasting health and purpose. Now, with A Year of Compassion, you share simple, effective, and impactful actions we can all take to make humankind a little kinder by protecting animals, supporting the planet, and optimizing our own health. When I was reading this book, I was fascinated that you had originally envisioned it as a day-to-day approach, and it shifted into a weekly approach. So can you elaborate sort of on how that all started to expand for you?
Yeah, I used to have a mailing list called Daily Dose of Compassion, and I loved doing it. It just got ahead of me, and I didn't plan accordingly. So it it became such that I just turned it into weekly words of wisdom because I couldn't keep up with daily.
Sure.
I still had the vision of doing a daily dose of compassion book. And in the end, the truth is the publisher, the editor was the one who made the suggestion of doing it weekly. And she was right. And I love it because the truth is a daily dose of compassion works really well if it's just inspiration and quotes and kind of motivation.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something to do every day, if it's action oriented,
Sure.
that's too much. People will get
Yep.
overwhelmed. They'll put the
Yep.
book down. I want them to actually do the things that inspire them. So weekly actions make more sense. And that's where it is right now. And I think it's the best. You can process like each week, and you don't have to do it in order. Obviously, most people probably
Right.
don't. But at least you say, oh, that week, I'm interested in that. Let me process that for a week, try it for a week, do it for a week. And that helps incorporate it as part of a habit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Much more approachable. I really get that. And so true. I mean, I think one of the things you've always been so good at is trying to relieve people of that overwhelming feeling, which I think is so important because people think of any of this like as so overwhelming, and it's just like just one thing this week. Just try this one thing and like see how it goes, And maybe it won't stick after this week, but maybe next week you try the next one and that one does stick a little more. And a year from now you circle back to the one that didn't stick, So like there's ways people can do it without feeling so trapped to like be so rigid about it. And your messaging that I've always loved for years is you sort of address that polarizing feeling most people have, which is that if we can't do everything we feel needs to be done, we step back and we decide to do nothing at all. And we've been conditioned to believe that things are all or nothing, right? And I'm hoping you can talk about how people can combat that, and more specifically, how they can combat that when utilizing tips in this book too.
Well, I think it's just human nature. We just get overwhelmed if we think we have to do everything, and it becomes paralyzing. So honestly, wherever you're at, just do something. I mean, it really is that simple. On one hand, we could get overwhelmed by all the number of things there are to do. We are called upon to respond to so many different things, both because we're internally, motivated to do so, but also externally, we're overwhelmed by all of the different messaging we're getting about
Mm-hmm.
where our attention should be,
Yeah.
especially in terms of solving problems. So you can look at that and get overwhelmed. I tend to pivot and reframe that to say, actually, that's the good news. There's so many things to do, right? There's so much opportunity, and we all can't do everything, and we're all not driven to do all of the different things. Some of us are going to be motivated to do one thing or another, right? And just in terms of topic and need and cause. So great. That means
Mm-hmm.
you have so many options. And that's the way I look at this. I see it as exciting. I see it as challenging in a good way. I see it as an opportunity for growth. I see it as an opportunity for evolution, for doing better, for contributing. That's just how I live my life and see the world. And so I try to convey that in the work that I do and say, great, pick one, pick something,
Yeah.
do something,
Yeah.
right? And I think that resonates with people.
I love that as seeing it as a pivot to like look at all these options, because not only are you maybe motivated to do one or the other more, but there's things you might be suited to attach yourself more other than other things that resonate with you a little more, or come maybe a little more efficiently, easily, or that you can have more impact with, specifically with your skill set or something. So, or ability.
Yes, and I think that's something for everyone to keep in mind, because I think it's really tempting to criticize others for not doing what you think is important or what you're doing. And
Yeah.
that happens in every cause, in every world. I hope everyone's okay with that siren. I
Oh
hope
my gosh, I know, right? I told before we started, everybody, I was like, Colleen, I'm so sorry. The city is out of control today. But there
it's
we
okay.
go. It's
It's
passing.
all good. It's fine. I hope may they be well.
Yes,
So
may they be well.
so th that like that is really tempting, to look at everybody else and say, "But you're not doing what I think you should do, and you're not saying what I think you should say, and you're not acting as I think you should act or as I'm acting." That
Yeah.
is really tempting. So to your point, do what resonates with you. Do not feel like you have to be pulled in directions out of guilt or shame or what have you, or trend. So that's part of it also, is just do your work, step back,
Yeah.
inspire others, and the rest isn't yours, and somebody else's business ain't yours either.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Well, when we look at the word compassion, you have a great section in the opening titled Compassion and Connection. You say compassion is the catalyst for change. And I get that. And I love that. Can you elaborate for our listeners on that simple word, compassion?
I think it is a wonderful word, and I think it is so misunderstood and so underutilized and so weaponized in so many ways. So we could just talk about that forever. So there's a reason I made this book, Plant-Based, Cruelty-Free, Zero Waste, all under the umbrella of compassion, because compassion really is about connection. It's that simple.
Mm,
It's recognizing that we are interconnected. It's recognizing that what I do impacts someone else, something else. There is no getting away from that. And so that means I would be more, when I recognize that compassion, when we all recognize that connection, that means I'm compelled to act in a way that is going to have the least negative impact
mhm.
and the greatest positive impact.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's about. And what we're seeing today in terms of just this polarizing and this just, this factionalism and this tribalism, we are forgetting who we are. We are forgetting that we are all interconnected and that we're all impacted by it emotionally,
Mhm.
physically, socially, culturally, environmentally. I mean, all of the things. So that's what this is about, is saying what you do matters.
Yeah.
And you can decide if you want that thing you do to have a negative impact or a positive impact. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, we all have a choice, right? We all have a choice to have that compassion. I love that. Well, there are 52 weeks in the year, everybody, and we want to leave you some content to read on your own, of course, when you grab this wonderful book. So we're going to expand on a few offerings in this book, so you get a sense of some actions you can take to live a year of compassion. Now, often when people start to make efforts to live more compassionately, they are easily overwhelmed, as we've already talked about. But I feel this weekly approach in general, the tone of the book really puts the listener at ease while empowering them to take action. So, what is something the listener can do right now, an action from this book that's very simple that they can implement right now, that's maybe one of the less daunting ones to take on?
Mm. You know, a lot of it is a shift in behavior, but it's also a shift in thinking. It's a shift in
Mhm.
perspective. So I would say start with food as valuable. Food waste is a
Yeah.
massive, massive issue. It's true. It is a massive issue institutionally, in restaurants, in schools, in government, all the things. It's true. And, I can control only so much. So what can I do in my own home? And when we see food as value, when we actually recognize the resources that went into it, the people who grew that food,
Yeah.
the people who transported that food, the people who sold us that food, stocked that food, and then obviously once it gets into our home, continuing to see the value in that, as opposed to seeing that it's just another thing that would potentially just, go bad. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we if we value it, we realize we want to use it and use its value up as much as possible. And so that means we store it correctly. That means we buy as much as we need and not more. That means
Yes.
we use every part of that food. It means we eat that food. It means we eat those leftovers. So it's through the lens of value. And just to kind of take that a little further, that's the way I actually define zero waste, because I know zero waste can be really overwhelming because it sounds like it's zero. It sounds like it's about perfection. It sounds
Right.
like it is about 100% no waste. But if you look at zero waste, it's a shortcut term that I think is helpful. If you look at it like it's about value and responsibility, then you have a different way of reacting and responding. So food is value, and that means using it all up. So
Mhm.
a great example is, you have a lemon. Use every bit of that lemon. If you just need lemon juice for a recipe or you're going to make lemonade, oh my gosh, my favorite thing to do is to zest that lemon first. I keep that zest in the freezer. I keep
Yeah.
it in the refrigerator. There is nothing better than just having zest to put on anything, like name it.
Yeah.
Vegetables, tofu scramble, just anything, even
Baked
dessert,
goods.
chocolate, baked goods,
Yeah. Mhm.
blueberry muffins, whatever it
Yep.
is. So that's the first thing. If you just need that lemon for juice, first zest it, then
Mhm.
use the juice, et cetera, et cetera. You know, vegetable scraps is another great example. Oh my goodness. One of my favorite things to do is to just make stock. You have
Mhm.
all the vegetable scraps. It's going to be different every time because you're going to be using different vegetables, right? That's just another example of like taking all of the value out of those
Yeah.
vegetables, even the scraps after you've, made the recipe.
Yep.
Those are examples of valuing. And then of course there's also food storage and, not wasting and understanding sell by dates and like there's all that. So there's a lot to do. But I would say food waste is kind of really exciting as I geek out on this kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. Yeah.
Well, it's so true too. And I think about food waste and there's I mean, I'm guilty of it as well. I have been, but there's some particular family members I have, and when I visit, they talk about their Costco membership, and they talk about, and I see their pantry or I see the fridge, and it's like just that stuff that's not being used, right? And so it's always overwhelming to me to think of that world where we've come to now where so many people are just buying so many, like, I don't want to say bulk things because there's value in bulk at
Yeah.
like grains or whatever that is, but I mean
Mhm.
bulk of like the just having, like, I don't know, like paper towels on end for days and days and days. It's like, well, how far can one roll of paper towel get you? Like,
Mm.
let's start there and see, or reusable paper towel, like what, just like ways to maybe not, we've gotten, I think people in America have gotten in the place where like, oh, I need to stock up on it, right? So maybe
Yeah.
don't stock up, maybe just get what you need, you see? So I like that approach on that. And a topic I'm charged up by in here is a week titled Recycle, Don't Wish Cycle. So tell us
Mhm.
more about this.
Again, some of this does require having some reliance on kind of institutional, conveniences. So for instance, I know that, or I trust that my city has a recycling service and I can put glass in there and I'm pretty certain that's getting recycled, right? We have to know, however, our municipalities kind of rules. And, California leads the way in so many things. And
Sure.
one of the things they just did was pass a law where, manufacturers cannot have a recycling symbol on plastic because that symbol alone has led so many people, millions of people for decades to wish cycle, which means, oh, the recycling symbol is on there. That means, somehow it's just going to magically get recycled. Well, not necessarily. So we
Mm-hmm.
do need to take responsibility. And again, even though our cities also, we need to push our cities to create the infrastructure
Yeah.
to be able to recycle these things. But let's say that your city does recycle or provide that service. Do you know everything that can and should go into that recycling? Because we'll put things in there that's not going to get recycled. So that's what wish
Right.
cycling is. It's saying, oh, it has a symbol on it, or oh, I heard that they take all kinds of plastic. Find out first. It doesn't take long to just find out, and then you can know for sure.
Yeah.
Now, that also means taking responsibility for reducing, because the downside, the dark side of recycling is that people became complacent and they just thought everything could just be recycled. So, there's less incentive to reduce. But where we
Sure.
can reduce the consumption, especially of single-use plastic, because plastic will be upcycled. Plastic does not get, some of it will be, but most of it doesn't go
Mm-hmm.
to landfill. Glass is an example of a material that can be recycled again and again
Yeah.
and again and again. That's great. But isn't it the weirdest thing in the world that we have a glass jar that we send to a recycling plant to be melted down to make another glass jar?
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we just reuse that glass jar? And when
Yeah.
we can go to find the places that might have some bulk items where we can get them in the bulk bins and then
Mm-hmm.
reduce the plastic or the glass entirely. So it does require a little research on your part, but again, I think that's empowering. And
Yeah.
then for sure that you're doing the right thing and doing the best you can, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Well, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm on week number 3. It's be prepared to help sick, injured, or lost animals. This one I have regrets myself on when I look back passing a dog on the highway or seeing an injured bird, and I've gotten much better as the years have passed. I'm happy to say we actually just had a pigeon rescued last week from our rooftop that was struggling a little bit. But what are some scenarios in this arena, and what are ways people can be better prepared? I think this one is so, like I said, just from personal experience, like it takes a sort of like, no, I can do this. Like you got to have like a,
Yeah.
and be ready to put a little time into it and make it happen. But like, how can people be prepared to sort of feel that and take that on?
So once again, I think it starts with our mental perspective and orientation. So you said prepared, kind of knowing that when you go out and about, you might encounter an animal. Just kind of know that. Just buffer it. And don't expect it. I'm not saying that you're going to see suffering all around you, but
Sure.
I will say that if you orient that way, you will probably find more things than you expected otherwise. So if we're oriented to it and prepared for it, that means we actually have some buffer in our day, because I think a lot of the stress comes from not having the time. I was on my way to a thing. Now I'm going to be late for my appointment. So create some buffer for yourself. That's good for so many other reasons. So
Sure.
you're not rushing, right?
Yeah. Just your mental health and stress alone. Yeah. Give yourself a buffer.
Exactly, exactly. So that's first, is just kind of prepare yourself mentally. The other thing is prepare yourself literally by, I do think, having phone numbers in your phone for your animal control, your local animal control, or if you don't even have an animal control in your city or town, having, some kind of rescue organizations, wildlife rescue included. And this also goes, Dustin, I think this is a really exciting one, is when you're traveling, having the numbers of the wildlife rescue or domestic animal rescue in your phone for when you're in different countries or different cities, because
That's
that's when it's
brilliant.
really stressful.
Yeah.
And if you are in a situation, and I've been in the situations where I didn't have Wi-Fi at the moment I needed to find
Mm-hmm.
the number in the place I was that was, less familiar to me, this mitigates that. So you already have it. And then the third thing kind of related to that is the literal, like having some things in your car or in your garage, or, some gloves and,
Yep.
a box and a blanket, so that
Yep.
if you do have to rescue an animal, you already have the materials there. Treats for a dog you might have to lure, or a cat,
Mm-hmm.
refresh them every so often because they might go stale. Like ours have
Sure.
been in the back of our car. I'd probably have to refresh those soon.
Sure.
Those are the kind of things to just
Yeah.
be, to just be ready. And another time, and we have more time, I'll tell you about times I've actually kidnapped animals who did not need rescuing, but that's a different story. No intention.
You're like, oops.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
you
returned,
had good intentions.
I returned them, but I did
Good.
kidnap.
Well, when I look at these weeks you have laid out here, is there one or two for you? I mean, I'm sure there's several. You're a human being, just like the rest of us.
Mhm.
Like a couple that you found to be very challenging for yourself at first to sort of latch onto, but then have started to like root in your routine a little bit after a while?
Yeah, I think a couple in the very beginning when I started my zero waste journey. I think there were a couple things, because we were already doing a lot of the things. We were doing canvas bags. We were already shopping in a bulk store. I think food waste for me was the biggest one, because I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
we have this perception of ourselves that we're doing it all. And when you actually do an audit, which is the first chapter,
Yes.
of the actions, that's when you go, oh, wait a second. So doing a food audit, there's both in terms of consumption, but
Yeah.
also when you're looking at what I'm wasting, both in terms of items, but also food, That one was a real game changer for me. And it did require putting some new systems in place. And my husband, God bless him, because he's always just, he's like, okay, there's a new thing we're doing. She's driving the house. All right. He's on board all the time because he knows it's always from a place of, doing the right thing. So that required some just shifts in systems in our home, but we've done it and it's great. That would be one. I would say, again, being mindful of what we bring into our lives. And again, we would say that we are not big consumers because that's our perception and it's mostly true. But we do have things we bring into our house. Are they all valued? Are they all necessary? Probably not. And so what was a real shift for me, but now it's fun. So it wasn't super challenging, but it's fun, but it does take time, is, oh my gosh, if not every day, I am always identifying things that I can say, again, value. I haven't used this. We haven't used this in years. We don't need this. It's just here, but someone else can value it. So I go on my Facebook Buy Nothing group. You could do it on a Recycle or whatever you have, but the Facebook Buy Nothing group is just amazing. But if you're not on Facebook, try it, local listserv or whatever. And it's just this wonderful platform to be able to give things away. We give so many things away. Like, I could sell them on Craigslist or sell them. I don't care. I don't need the money for,
it's just like get it out.
Just get it out and let someone else use it and value it. It's been a game changer. And I can say, because I know this sounds morbid, I don't think it is, but when we die, I do not want whoever is going to have to take care of our stuff to be overwhelmed. And they literally pull up a garbage truck to dump everything in it. You're not going to want to go through each thing.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So I want to keep what is valued now, but what is also valuable so that when we die, those things will be, we want to keep this, chair that she loved. We want to keep this, these albums. I don't know. But the point is, again, about value and not squandering things just for the sake of it.
Yes. Yeah. We, when we moved last year, it was the best feeling. We just got rid of so much and it was so wonderful. And it's the perfect time to do it. I mean, anytime's a great time to declutter, honestly. Like but moving is such a great time because you're really seeing, I have not used this in 2 years. It's time for it to go away, Well, a hard one for me, speaking of decluttering, is decluttering the fridge. That is week number 13 in here. Declutter your fridge. And I took your advice on several tips here, and I did get myself a Lazy Susan and put my most commonly used ingredients on it. It has been so helpful. And I used to forget I had something, and then I would buy it again. And this has really helped me being able to see everything I have. Well, let's talk compost. That is week number 47. Compost. You've got compost, the how-tos and whatnots. What tips do you offer on composting in here? Because it's a different thing for everybody, right?
It's different for everybody. And listen, that chapter could be an entire book. So I cannot give you all the things in this one chapter, but I would say at least if it plants a seed and people go and find other resources to do it, but at least hopefully it inspires you. Everyone's going to be in a different situation. Some people are in homes that have backyards. Some people are in apartments. Some people don't want to compost. Some people hate the idea. So you have to know yourself and you have to know what is going to work for you to be successful and for it to be enjoyable as well.
Yeah.
So know yourself, look at the tips in that chapter. It could be that you get a drum kind of rotating compost barrel. I've done that for years. We stopped doing it because we really do have an incredible compost system here in Oakland, in the Bay Area. California will eventually require it from all cities, I think as of 2030. So it was something I wanted to stop doing because I was willing to let the city do that, right?
Yep.
But do it if you can. You can get a worm composter. I know some vegans won't do that because they feel like it's exploiting the worms, so then don't do that. But some people in an apartment can actually do on a balcony, like a worm composting. You can find out if there's a private service if your municipality doesn't offer the service. But really, I think the first thing to do goes back to just using everything you have and what you compost, because there actually are studies that indicate that people sometimes who compost actually waste more food because you feel like you're discarding it in a responsible way.
Yes.
So you wind up discarding more of it. So, right, that's backfires. So I would say first to start with taking responsibility for what you do have in your refrigerator and what
Yeah.
you do have in your house. And anytime you say, there's nothing in the house to eat, we have to go to the store, stop, pause, go look at what you actually have. You could probably get another week or 2 or 3 out of what you have in the house.
Yes, that is very true. My sweet husband will open the fridge and be like, there's just nothing here. I was like, you take a seat. I'll be back in 30 minutes with a meal for you. Everything's fine. But to his credit, he never knows what's happening in that fridge because I'm always developing things. So he's like, can I touch this or not? I don't know. This ingredient just showed up. Well, of course, you have the great tip of taking the 30-day vegan challenge covered in week 14. But then on week 14, you give a glimpse into at least eliminating dairy milk from your diet in the section called Stop Being a Baby Cow. Well, stop being a baby
The baby.
cow. For some reason, people still struggle with this. It's wild to me because I absolutely cannot imagine consuming cow's milk now, but I get it. What are some tips for folks to stop being a baby cow?
Cow. It's true. I think I would say it's probably true that fewer people today are drinking liquid milk, like liquid cow's milk, right? Would you agree with that? Like, I think
Yeah,
just,
I think fewer are. Yes,
yeah,
yes. Yep.
right.
And the grocery stores have all the options now, right? So they
Exactly.
have made it easier.
Exactly. So I think when people say to me, how do I replace X? And usually it's cheese, which is dairy. So in
Yes.
that context, I would say to them, well, how do you eat it? How do you consume it?
Sure.
So for cow's milk, I mean, it's such an obvious switch. It's such an easy switch to just start trying plant milks, especially if you're using it in cereal. But taste, people get pretty attached to what they know. So if your children or you are still consuming liquid milk in that way, literally consuming it, drinking it, or having it in cereal or something, I would say, start with half and half. I mean, not half and half like the dairy, half and half. Start having
Right.
the cow's milk and then add your plant milk.
Oh, like a little half of the cows in the plant-based milk.
Exactly.
Interesting. What a great approach.
Especially for kids who don't like, most of us don't like change, but kids, if they're used to a particular
Yeah.
taste and they're having, they're struggling, or you're struggling to get them to change, do that. Do a quarter of the plant milk and then eventually half and then
Yeah.
eventually all of it. And that's just an easier way to ease people into it.
It's great.
And then obviously when it comes to baking, just being able to switch it, you would not know the difference. You will not. And then the dairy is different. I mean, I think that the cheese, for instance,
Yeah.
is different. It depends on how you're consuming it, but there are so many different ways to tick the box of, if you have a grilled cheese, I think there's so many wonderful non-dairy cheeses out there that you can make a grilled cheese with. So try exploring them. You might like some, you might not like some.
Yeah.
The worst thing we could do with any of these kinds of shifts is do a side-by-side comparison, because the thing you already know and love is always going to be inferior to this new thing because it's new.
Sure.
So just give it time, be open. That's why the 30-day vegan challenge is what I suggest, because when you get something out of your palate, you're more prone to accept the new thing if you have the other thing, the familiar thing, out of your palate for a time period. So lots of tips there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, I'm thinking about, just when it's trial and error, right? Like all of it, just like when you're trying new foods, say, years ago when I wasn't vegan and I'm trying non-vegan foods, like it's all trial and error. There were non-vegan foods that I didn't like, and it's like you try the vegan stuff, whether it's the milk or the cheese or whatever, and it's trial and error. You're going to like some, you're not going to like some, like know that right away. And it's going to be like a little bit of an easier trial and error situation going into it with that sort of on your mind already. Number 33 is to buy cruelty-free personal care products. So what does that look like? And what are some of your, if you can tell us, do you have some of like personal favorite cruelty-free care products that you use yourself?
I do, and they also extend to the zero waste component. So trying to reduce, single-use plastic. So when it comes to my hair products, so there are 2 brands I use regularly. One is Plain Products, who are amazing. It's an amazing sister-owned, vegan-owned company. They are just fantastic, and it's just this wonderful old school idea of just refilling. So it's this closed loop. So you get the shampoo, the conditioner, the body lotion, the face lotion. They have hair
Nice.
repair. They have gel now. They have so many different products. So again, plain PLAINE products. And when you're done, you return the bottle and they refill them. They don't refill that particular one, but they wash it, they clean it,
Sure. Yep.
and they just keep it's a cycle, it's a
That's
circle.
great.
They're amazing, and I can't recommend them highly enough. And then Ethique is another one I also use for like their bars, so shampoo and conditioner bars. That's another great brand,
How
and
do you
it's like
spell that one?
ETHIQUE. And they also have like face, but it's basically a bar. So like shampoo, conditioner, we use those as well. They're great to travel with. Plain Products also has travel. Plain Products has the travel sizes, but I don't think they accept the empties for the travel size. So for traveling, I would say get the bars, like get an Ethique, shampoo or conditioner bar. And then what is another example? I mean, toothbrushes that are bamboo. And, again, obviously these companies that I'm naming, they're zero waste, but they don't test on animals, and they're all like plant-based. There's no animal products in them. But I'm always kind of looking at all of these things. If I'm going to get a product that's my husband and I use the same kind of pomade for the final thing for our hair.
Yes.
Well, we just make sure we get that. Again, it's cruelty free, but we make sure we get glass or aluminum, because again, we know that those are materials that will be recycled, or we can reuse those as well. So it's a matter of like looking at the back of a label. And then once you find the brands you like, you just keep getting those. So it's not like you
Yeah.
have to constantly constantly memorize things. You just kind of look and and the V symbol on these kinds of products really is helpful, because it really does indicate that they're, well, the bunny logo will indicate that it's cruelty free, and the vegan,
Yeah.
indicate both.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think too, everybody, when you find something you like, stick with it, because you're also giving business to that business to stay open, so you can help other people hopefully find the products that they like as well. It's really supporting that kind of loop that you were talking about. So one I was intrigued with, you've talked about zero waste already, but you say zero waste for entertaining. That's week number 40. So how can people go about entertaining their guests? This is a chef asking you who does small scale catering. So I'm like, tell me, how can we do zero waste entertaining for our guests?
It's really, so first of all, the food aspect in terms of the food waste. So plan your meals accordingly and do all the things, and use stock from the vegetables that you've made your dishes from. Obviously eat leftovers. That's a big part of food waste, is that people don't eat leftovers. So make as much as you need, maybe not more. But if you are someone who eats leftovers, then make more, because you'll eat them.
Yeah.
When it comes to like the things we actually use, like the plates and things, it really depends on the size of the group. And it depends on the nature of the event. For a fancy dinner, I'm probably not going to use compostable plates. But for an outdoor party where there's 30 people, I'm going to use compostable plates. However, I know that my city's compost service does have an industrial compost, machine that will also compost those compostables. Part of the wish cycling, we'll put it in that category, is, everything that's compostable, if it's not properly composted, it will sit in a landfill.
Yep.
So you get a lovely compostable plate. If you just throw that in the garbage, that's not going to get composted in your landfill. Compost requires oxygen, and it requires the conditions to actually compost. Otherwise, it's just going to rot. So all that's to say is, if you're not certain it's going to get composted, then I would just use reusable plates. Just get reusable plates and use reusable glasses. I mean, we have parties all the time, and we have, brick patio. If glass breaks, it's a nightmare. It's never happened. It's never happened. So kind of know your audience, be willing to do dishes. And you're so sure, is it like, I'm using more water? Is that worse than throwing the thing away? Well, again, you kind of have to know. We're in California, using water is, something we're very mindful of.
Yeah.
But but we use our dishwasher, which is more eco-friendly than hand washing. So
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
have to kind of know the things and just do the best you can. You're not going to be perfect. You live, you're alive. You're going to have an impact. So just do
Yes.
the best you can and be honest with yourself as well. And get
Yeah.
compostables as opposed to plastic, because there's also the production of the things. It's better to get compostables rather than plastic utensils, because the plastic utensils are petroleum based, right? So like there are some
Right.
things to know, but then you're more empowered.
Yeah, absolutely. I think empowered's a great word, because this book really is about, I mean, for me, from my perspective reading it, it's empowering people to do their best. You can't you cannot do everything all in one swoop, but like making these strides week after week, and again, taking what resonates with you and maybe what you is most efficient for you in that time. Like, that's great. Anything you can do. And I'm looking at week number 51, titled Eat Processed Foods. We all
Mhm.
do. I think some people might be surprised by this week, and I love that you included this. So tell us more about it. What does that mean?
I think some of it has to do with judgment on
Yes.
yourself, judgment of others. This whole, I mean, what's trendy, everyone talks about not eating processed food. We have to differentiate between highly processed and processed. So I use the
Mhm.
example, if you take peanuts and you put them in a food processor and you make peanut butter, that is technically a processed food. There is nothing wrong with peanut butter. So I think what we're talking about is like highly processed foods. When you take something that is so unrecognizably different from the original, food, usually a plant food, I don't know, taking a strawberry and, just having a strawberry flavor. I mean, like, that's highly processed, right? But there's nothing wrong with making, strawberry, a strawberry smoothie, right? That's processed as well. So in terms of just kind of using your own gut instinct, but also using common sense for what makes sense in terms of nutrient dense consumption. I just think we're so hard on ourselves. I think we have a lot of time on our hands to be so picky about this kind of
Mhm.
thing. And in the end, like, if you're eating, I eat a pretty much a whole foods plant-based diet. I mean,
Sure.
I prefer it. Doesn't mean I don't have potato chips sometimes. Doesn't mean I
Yeah.
don't like Scotch whiskey, because I do,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's a matter of just relaxing. I've heard before, like the 80-20 rule. Just if it means, you're doing the best you can for 80% of it, but like you really like, so delicious, cashew, you know, chocolate ice cream,
Yeah.
then do that. Just
Yeah.
make the foundation the best you can.
Yes.
Whole
Yep.
foods.
And even on that, 80/20, it's like, sure, do your best. And one week it might be 60/40, and
Yeah.
that's going to be okay too. And then next week you can go back to 80/20. Like, don't beat yourself up about it. Do your best. And I'm going to wrap this up here. But before I do, I just want to shout out some of the other weeks, like Bake Better Without Animal Products, Downsize and Discard, which we touched on a bit, Cook Some Staples from Scratch. I love that we're talking about that, even with like if you've got these vegetable scraps, like make yourself some stock with that, right? We've got Embrace Imperfect Produce. Love that. Everybody, that speaks for itself there. Think about it. You see, like yesterday I was at the farmer's market and everyone had just like ravaged the tomato table, but there was this little tomato that was like, I'm still good, but it had all these little, and I was like, I'm going to take that one. I might eat that one tonight. Try new foods, eat what you have, planning for success. Eat your vegetables, make them edible. Humane critter control, managing unwanted critters, drive change, choose sustainable transportation, reduce junk mail, just say no, and volunteer for animals. And you wrap the book up with an afterword, why I'm hopeful. So tell
Mhm.
us, why are you
Mm.
hopeful?
Mm. Well, I said one reason is because there's so many opportunities for us to do better. And I see so many people doing this. I mean, the work that we do, we get to see so many people who have the intention to do
Mhm.
the best they can. And, you hear all those things in this book. So don't get overwhelmed. There's just opportunities. And I find that really exciting and really empowering again. And I just think if you have any perspective, if you have any awareness of history, if you look at any point in history from, past, from today is a better day. And what we're
Mhm.
doing in the future, what we plan for in the future, of course, there are times we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or 1 step forward and 2 steps back. We see that. That's why voting matters.
Right.
Elections have consequences. We do need leaders who are leading, and we need leaders who are making the right decisions. But what happens when they're not is we see so many people who step up and do the right thing, people who are resourceful and innovative. It is so exciting to see that. And I know that's where we're headed. And they're all around us. You can dwell on all of the things that are going wrong, and you can also do what's right yourself. And you can also dwell on what you know has worked, and at least find some hope from the past to know that we have been in some pretty awful places before, and look where we are now. So we can keep doing that. But we do all each individually have to make the right decisions so that we do have the future that we say we want. It's not up to just the person who's making the legislative decisions or the industrial decisions, the business decisions. All of us are responsible, and that's what this book is about.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Well, friends, that is A Year of Compassion, 52 weeks of living zero waste, plant-based, and cruelty-free. Colleen, what is a book brag for you? Something you're most proud of when it comes to this book?
That it has something for everyone. Please don't think if you're already plant-based or you're already living cruelty-free that there isn't something there for you. There is something there for you, and I want to hear what did inspire you. And that's what I'm really excited about, is I hear from people who said, I was doing all the things and I didn't realize about this, and now I'm doing that. So there's something for everybody in it. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of this book, and I really hope it inspires people. And thank you for letting me talk about it.
Oh, of course. And I love that. That book brag just gave me all the feels. There is something for everyone in this book. Yes, yes, yes. Well, now we're going to move on to your rapid fire round of questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Most used spice in the kitchen?
Oh, chipotle chili powder.
Delicious. Texting or calling?
Calling more now.
All right, great. Has that been a conscious decision for you? Okay. Quiet morning walk or late night stroll?
It has to do specifically with the walking part. I love post dinner stroll. I love walking after dinner with my husband. Love it.
That's great. Yeah. Favorite baking replacement for eggs?
None. Most things don't need a replacement.
Ooh, I like that. That's good. Beach sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
The face obviously. Hello. Yes. Favorite pasta shape?
Penne.
And sweet or salty snack?
Salty.
Okay. And you've got a section in here about volunteering for animals. What's your favorite way to volunteer for the animals?
I loved when I was kitty cuddling, and the organization, they retired. So, but I have been fostering, and I love fostering.
Oh, are you a good foster? Or are you a foster fail?
I actually have an essay about foster fail, but I flip it around. No, I'm very clear that I am there as a conduit to their forever home. And it's worked for me. It's hard, it's emotional, it's all the things. And I do talk about that in the book. There's a chapter on fostering. I love it. And I'm in touch with them. We've actually become quite good friends with one of the couples who's adopted 2 of the cats we fostered.
Love it.
So I'm really proud of the fostering, but I have to space it out because it's emotional. It's hard.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Same. Okay. This one can be a brain tease a little bit, but not for everyone. Same meal every day or never repeat a meal ever again?
Same meal every day.
Oh, wow. That was easy. Good. Most used kitchen tool?
A knife. My favorite knife.
Work in silence or with background noise?
Music.
Yes.
Music.
And do you prefer a big party or a small gathering?
Both. I just love entertaining. I just love being around my friends and people.
I love it. Great. That is your rapid fire. Good job. Now, Colleen, please tell everyone where they can find you on social media and the internet.
So joyfulvegan.com is my website. And you can find all the things from there. I really want to encourage people to get over to Substack. I've been writing so much on
Great.
Substack and I'm loving it. So you can find a link from joyfulvegan.com, but I really want to get people over there because it's been a really great experience. Yeah.
Oh, if there's anybody I want a Substack from, it's you. That's great.
Aw,
I will
thank
definitely check that out. And of course, everyone go get your copy of A Year of Compassion, 52 Weeks of Living Zero Waste, Plant-Based and Cruelty-Free everywhere books are sold, so you can start your journey to a more compassionate lifestyle. Colleen, always a joy with the Joyful Vegan, and inspiring to talk to you as always. Thank you for another fabulous literary contribution and for taking the time to be with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This has been a Muzzy Cat production.